was your aha moment of like, all right, we got something here?
We knew that 6 months prior to starting the business. And we knew that because we use the treatments ourselves. Some people think the algorithm's out to get them. Oh, Instagram's shadow banning me. No, it's not. Your videos just suck. There was a video that I did where I arm wrestled a cat. I think right now it's sitting at like 45 million views.
That's funny.
I dropped out of college my senior year. I had like half a semester to go. That's how much I didn't care about.
Did you finish a semester or was it?
I dropped out. I burned the ships quick. And I think that's what's been pivotal to our success is like, I don't look back and I don't give myself a second option. Growing up, doctor was the only thing. Anyone that asked me for advice, I say, what's your plan B? What's your plan C? What's your plan D? And when they've given me all their plans, I say,
What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Successful DNA. Excited to have the stud of Tampa, I feel like, the past, 3 or 4 months. Julian Becerra, welcome to the pod, dude.
Happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I mean, looking on Instagram, outside in, it's been a wild ride for you.
Yeah, it's all happened so fast.
I know. So let's start, and then after that, we'll piggyback on some things. Let's just start macroeconomic viewpoint, or the macro viewpoint, not macroeconomic viewpoint, of when did, and we'll get into more of like when the idea started, but let's skip ahead a little bit. When you started Overtime Men's Health, and kind of how it's blown up over the past few months.
Well, before we started Overtime, we were actually going to franchise a similar business when we were living out in Austin, Texas. And that's simply because we were users of the product and the service. We loved it. We had sent over 25 people we had sent in to that one clinic we were going towards. And one of the main reasons that made us decide to not franchise it is because we didn't have control over not only the medical treatments that we could offer, but also the way we could market it. Because our DNA, our blood, was sales and marketing. Mm-hmm. And sales and marketing, as you know, or sales specifically, is one-to-one. Whereas if you're really good at the one-to-one interaction, there's no reason why you can't leverage that and do the one-to-many. Mm-hmm. So when we started Overtime, we knew that from the very beginning. We knew attention was currency. So we wanted to spend as much time as possible getting the most leverage as possible. Because we knew that, look, we're starting out in business. There's plenty of people that can do a lot of stuff in business. Specifically, you've got accounting, you've got a CEO, a CFO, a COO. They can do that job better than us, but there's only going to be one personality and a DNA to the brand, and that's going to have to be done by the founders, at least to start. So Jacob and I just went, balls to the wall on our marketing strategy, and we weren't afraid to say what we felt and have those kinds of conversations that guys would have. I wouldn't even call it locker room talk, but just off camera, off public eye conversations that you have with your guys about things. We weren't afraid to be a medical clinic and have those conversations and be real and authentic. And I think that authenticity, as time grew and people kept seeing our stuff, they really resonated with it. And that's what I would attribute our growth so rapidly.
And when did you officially start Overtime?
We filed for the LLC December 2024, but we opened doors and saw our first patient July 15th of 2014. So it's been right now a little over a year.
Okay. Of 2024.
2024.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now it's been about a year and a month. And
then at what month do you think it was where it was like a significant scale began?
I can tell you exactly where I was when it happened. It's funny because there was an actual moment where it was pivotal. We had our first viral video. So we'd been posting content pretty consistently. I think it was 3 to 5 reels a week. And those reels were getting anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 views. It was getting pretty decent engagement for a brand new page. And then I remember it was in October. So this had been 2.5 months into business. I was out in up north in Maine with my buddy, with his family at a lake house when our first video went viral. And that video happened to go hyper viral. And it was one of those videos that go viral that wasn't just like you doing a trend or you doing something silly. It was a video that went viral that literally highlighted every single component to our business. We talked about the fact that we did a free blood work, we did hormones, we did peptides, we did shockwave therapy. That video highlighted all of it, and it happened to have a comedic element to it. That video ended up getting over 20 million views, and we had grown immensely from it. And it wasn't just the view and like count, it was the amount of DMs we were getting from people all over the country and all over the world. Mm-hmm. I had people in Australia, people up in Canada, California, New York, all over the place asking, hey, I love your clinic. How can I get involved? How can I get some of these treatments? I've been feeling like crap lately, like I could really use your stuff. And that's what really sparked the idea of, hold on a second, as opposed to just thinking small and thinking brick and mortar, one area, one location. We started to really expand our mindset and say, hold on, let's see how we can fulfill all 50 states as fast as possible. So that's where that idea grew. And then with that, we started growing some notoriety. And then our cost to acquire a customer was so much lower. Mm-hmm. because the content we were posting, you didn't have to pay for engagement on social media. If you know how to game the system, and I wouldn't even call it game the system, I'd call it psychology. That's all social media is. It's some people think the algorithm's out to get them. Oh, Instagram's shadow banning me. No, it's not. Your videos just suck, for lack of a better words. And our videos suck too. You have to have that open mindset and say, what is going to get someone that doesn't know me to watch this entire thing and be interested in my business? You have to think about it from an unbiased third-party perspective. So us having had that early traction and capitalizing on it, number one, it expanded the mindset. And number two, we doubled down on what we knew it worked and what we knew we were good at. And then the growth was exponential. We had plenty more do well after that.
Did you recover from the robbery yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fortunately, we recovered from the robbery. That guy had really nice delts, though. So.
That's funny. Was that what was the most viral video so far? Was it that one? I feel like that one did well.
There was a video that I did where I arm wrestled a cat that has, I think right now it's sitting at like 45 million views.
That's funny.
That wasn't an overtime video. However, what I did was I went on the overtime account and I commented on that video. I said something relating to how the cat was on TRT. Mm-hmm. And that comment ended up getting like 500,000 likes on that video. So a video that I posted on my personal page, I found a way to tie in overtime, do it, and still get a bunch of traction.
That's sick, dude.
That one got like 45 million, but to date, on the actual overtime page, I think it's about 23 million views.
So from last July, what's a good KPI to understand growth? Was it number of customers or anything?
So in our business, it's monthly recurring revenue.
Okay.
So all the treatments that we offer, we like to tell our patients, listen, if you're looking to do a cycle or if you're looking to just try it out, I'd honestly recommend you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
We want to bring on patients that want to be with us for the long term. We want to help optimize their health for the long term. And it's not just one specific medication, but everyone that comes on, and everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own background. Everyone has their own way of life and things that they do and habits they have. Some people can't get 8 hours of sleep a night. Some can only get 6 with their lifestyle. We accommodate every treatment to best fit those needs. So we have the cool thing with peptide therapies, you can get really deep into it. And there's a specific peptide for whatever goal you have. And the most common thing we're seeing now is everyone's hormones are messed up. Mm-hmm. And that's a whole rabbit hole. We can have a whole separate episode on why people's hormones are messed up. But the fact of the matter is that it is. So there's room for optimization for a lot of people. The folks that we bring on in, number one, we want them to be with us long term. And if they're not, then we point them elsewhere. So the name of this game is monthly recurring revenue. It's how many active clients you have, because there is a cost to acquire a customer. That's marketing spend, that's ad dollars. And then once you acquire that customer, obviously, as you know, in business, the longer they're with you, the more profitable you are, the better service you can give them. And that's our philosophy right now, is that we do charge a bit more than our competitors, and we're not afraid to admit that. We are a premium service. We want to attract a premium, high-end clientele. We want to work with guys that they always get the better end of the deal than us in every interaction. If someone spends $1,000 a month with me, I want that $1,000 a month they spend with me to give them a 10 to 20x ROI on their output. And those happen to be people that are high-performance based. So the name of the game is how many customers can you keep and stick with you? And then the new ones that you add month on month, your revenue just grows and grows and grows and grows. And as you grow and become more profitable, as you reinvest that back in the business, you can give them just a better and better service.
Yeah.
Same with Apple, how they have that ecosystem with iCloud.
Yeah.
That's our goal, is to have everything be integrated with the company.
It's similar to us, where we have, the 11 businesses in the collective. One of the ones that are very important is our management business, because, every month each home's producing about, $3,000 a month in, residual income. Now, obviously, that's not, net income. There's expenses on payroll and insurance and whatnot. In July 24, how many residual clients did you bring in, and then how many do you have last July?
I think the only people that came in July were our friends. We had like 10 customers that month.
And what'd you win July 25?
This past month was our best month. We just did $185,000 in revenue this past month.
Okay. So how many clients is that?
That's roughly 350.
Okay, so from 10 last July to 350, significant growth.
Yeah.
Whatever the number is there.
Yeah.
But
explosive. And that's not counting telemedicine.
Yeah.
Telemedicine doing a whole separate, that's a whole separate endeavor. That's just brick and mortar in-person clinic growth.
And the telemedicine is obviously what it sounds like?
Yeah, so telemedicine is simple. We wanted to be able to service people in all 50 states. And to do that, having a brick and mortar location, as you can imagine, would take tens of millions of dollars and a ton of time. And that's one thing we can't, pay for is time, right? You don't get that back. But to be able to service those people now and capture the market as quickly as possible, we partnered with a platform that supplied us with the providers. We have providers now in all 50 states with licenses to be able to prescribe medication in those states. Mm-hmm. So the same products we offer at Overtime, I can now offer it in Iowa, California, Texas, any of the 50 states.
What's the regulation behind that?
So the patient has to get a blood work. So what we do is we order them a lab requisition form, and they go to their local LabCorp. Cool thing about LabCorp is there's usually one on every corner. Within typically 5 to 10 mile radius of most people in America, there is a LabCorp, so they can go there, and it takes 5 minutes. It's super fast. It's a very hassle-free process. And then once we get the results in about 2 days, we get back on a call with them, and the doctor goes over the results with them, and then finds ways we can optimize. The blood
One
work
of your
tells a lot.
doctors?
Yeah, one of our doctors.
Cool.
Yeah. Blood work tells a lot because, I mean, it's hard to argue what you're deficient in your blood.
Yeah.
Most people, it's the hormones to start off with, but there's a lot of other stuff too. Growth hormone as well, which is why people can't recover from injuries or why they have their back aches or shoulder. A lot of that can be solved with growth hormone peptides, but there's tons of stuff we can optimize for.
That's cool. I want to back it up a little bit and kind of, I wanted to lead with the super growth because that's fun and that's sexy. But let's go back to, you grew up in Miami, born and raised.
Born and raised.
And then the first time you left Miami for an amount of time was to Wilmington. Is that correct?
Yes, it wasn't Wilmington. It was to Raleigh.
Okay.
So when I was 14.
NC State?
Yep.
Okay.
Raleigh, North Carolina. We switched. It was a whole uprooting. As you can imagine, growing up in Miami to now North Carolina. In my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to Hickville.
Yeah.
but because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So my family had left. It was the freshman year going from my freshman to sophomore year. So they left the beginning of the summer. I ended up staying in Miami with my buddy for the whole summer and then went to North Carolina to start school. Went to high school there. And to backtrack even a little bit more, my entire life I'd wanted to be a doctor. Because when I was very little, my grandfather was sick, and I told him growing up that I wanted to be a doctor one day to help, take care of him and cure him. That's what I had grown up with, and that ideology had stayed in my head my entire life, so I never looked at any other options. I was very close-minded in the subsect of like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to do. And my dad wasn't a doctor. My mom wasn't a doctor. It was just what I inherently, I guess, wanted to gravitate more towards. I really had a knack for health. But going into college, fast forward, after having lived in North Carolina for 3 years now, I majored in biology. I had a 4.0 GPA. I did the whole thing. I did the fraternity. I had the good grades. And I had been recruited to go do this sales job, which I told the recruiter no, and then COVID hit. Which I think, for me, COVID was probably the best thing that could have happened because I wouldn't be sitting in this chair and I wouldn't be doing this. I might be in medical school, right, studying. But COVID had hit, got sent back home, and while I was home, no one would hire me just because there was no jobs available. So I'm sitting here like nothing to do, bored out of my mind at home. There's no schoolwork to do, and there's no jobs to get. So you're just kind of sitting around, and we're in quarantine. How boring is that? So I finally hit that recruiter back up. I went out and did summer sales. I was knocking doors, selling pest control door to door. And I had no idea. Most of the guys that were going into it, they had been training for 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
I had not an ounce of training. I didn't even know what we were selling. I thought we were selling canisters of that ortho home defense you buy at Home Depot, door to door. Little did I know, I get out to Atlanta, which is where they were doing that summer sales thing, and we were selling like pest control contracts.
It's summer 21?
Summer of 21, yes.
Okay.
Selling pest control contracts where you go knock on someone's door, sign them up for a year long of pest control. Somebody comes and sprays their yard and inside of their house. And I found that I was off the rip, day one, it was really good for a rookie to sell like 1 or 2. Like if somebody came back day one and they sold something, it was like amazing. I had my phone off. I wasn't even checking the group chat. I get home and I had sold 9 that day.
Your first day?
First day. I didn't know what we were selling. I had no idea how to use the software. I did all the contracts wrong. I did everything wrong. I don't think I made any money off it because I didn't actually get a signed contract on it. But I got 9 sales, 9 credit cards, 9 people to say yes and sign up for a year's worth of pest control. I went back to the house with my head down because I didn't get 10. I wanted to get 10. And everyone in there, there's like a group of people that are all around, like not applauding me, but just like, yo, like good shit. And I'm sitting here like with my head down, like, oh, sorry guys, I didn't get 10. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like the rookies here, like the best other rookie got 2 today, and he'd been training for 6 months. And I went out there and I didn't know anything. I just went out there like, okay, I'll get 10. Like, let's do it. So I had so much fun with the one-to-one interaction with people. I loved talking to individual people, meeting them, getting them to trust you. I thought it was like all a game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And there was no training that could have prepared me for that. It was just how it was. So fast forward, come back to college. Now I don't want to keep majoring in biology after having gotten introduced to sales because I ended up doing really well that summer. I made a bunch of money. And now I wanted to recruit my own team of people. You know the whole door-to-door thing. It's where you recruit a whole team and you lead them and whatnot. So I went back to college, majored in business. And as soon as that happened, it was like I stopped caring about school. I still got B's. I didn't really try that hard, but I just stopped caring about it because it was like, okay, like now that I'm not going to be a doctor, it's like, what do I need to get A's in this business degree for? I just didn't see the need for it. So I had, went through college and I was continuing to do the door-to-door thing. I ended up growing and recruiting big teams, and every summer that I subsequently did after that, I made more and more money. Up until my senior year, my current business partner, Jacob, who we both own Overtime together, he had left. He was actually working at that same company. We knew of each other because we were both top producers, but we never had actually met. We just, if you're in the industry, who the top dogs are.
Yeah.
He had left the pest control industry, and he went to go to Texas to go sell solar.
Oh. And
naturally, part of this game is recruiting. So what I was seeing on Instagram was every single weekend, he's popping bottles at a new club in Houston, spending tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm sitting here like, I make good money, but like not dropping $10K a week on bottle service kind of money.
Yeah.
So I didn't send him a message. I actually just went straight to the CEO of that company. I did a little bit of digging, found the CEO's LinkedIn, and somehow connected him, messaged him. And then he said, listen, like I'll fly you out to Texas right now. So he flew me out of Texas. I dropped out of college my senior year. I had like half a semester to go. That's how much I didn't care.
What month was this, your senior year?
I think it was December.
Okay.
Actually.
So going into the last semester.
Because I have a picture of us at a Christmas party.
Did you finish that semester or was it? Oh, damn.
Dropped out. I had a semester left. I dropped out. That's how much I didn't care about
But did you finish that fall semester? Was that after?
Nope.
Okay. So you didn't take exams. You left.
Nothing. College dropout.
Damn.
I just saw a massive opportunity. I'm the kind of person where if I see an opportunity, there is no think about it. I burn the ships quick. And I think that's what's been pivotal to our success. Is like I don't look back and I don't give myself a second option. Growing up, doctor was the only thing. There is no plan B. Why would I ever have a plan B? You shouldn't. A lot of people have plan Bs on their life. It's like you get one life. You don't want to live a life where you just resorted to the plan B the entire time. Plan A is what you really want to do, so go do it. And if you don't give yourself any other option, you have to do that. I call that burning the ships. And anyone that asks me for advice, I say, what's your plan B? What's your plan C? What's your plan D? And they think that I'm trying to help them get their other options in order. And I say, when they've given me all their plans, I say, remove all that.
Yeah.
Plan A is the only option. Figure it out. Because at the end of the day, it's like people, when they're put in positions, the sailors back in the day, they would pull up to the new conquered land, and it was the captain. He would burn the ship, and all the pirates, all the sailors were like pissed off, looking back like, why'd you just burn that? We can't get back now. He's like, exactly.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And I love that mentality because I think if more people adopted that, within reason, of course, they'd be more successful. Anyways, I saw Jacob in Texas doing that. DM the CEO. He flew me out. Moved to Houston, Texas. Now I'm working directly with
Was that
Jacob.
December of 22?
December of 22.
Okay.
Yep. December of 22, fly out of Texas, drop out of college. I link up with Jacob for the first time, who's my current business partner, and he was the team leader of this team. And again, like pest control, went out, did solar. Most guys, you set appointments first. So what that means is you actually go out and you physically knock doors and you set the appointments, and then someone else closes it. I did that for like 5 days before I started closing my own deals. And then once I started closing my own deals, that's when I started making some serious money. It went from making 150 to 200K a year to now I'm making like 40 to 50 to 60K a month. And naturally, like being young, you spend some of it, but we saved a lot of it. We put it away because we knew we wanted to invest it in something. And then fast forward a year and a half, when the opportunity arose for Overtime, because we had that cash, we were able to make that decision to not have to franchise and build our own thing. So we built Overtime without a dollar of invested money. Yeah. No, a lot of people say daddy's money. I laugh. We didn't get any loans or anything like that. We completely bootstrapped the business.
Yeah. So 2023 and the first half of 24, you're just doing solar.
Just doing solar. And
so let's dive in at this point. Early 24, I'm assuming, to middle of 24. When does the idea come into your head about, Overtime itself?
So we had, like I mentioned, saw an ad somewhere about getting your testosterone levels checked. And we had gotten ours checked because we were curious, with having no intention of doing anything, just curious. And we found that ours were low. And then we had kind of explored our options, seeing what we can do. There's treatments out there called enclomiphene. You can do TRT. There's a couple different things you could do. We had started treatment with this one company that is a pretty big franchise in Austin, Texas, and we were customers of them. And then we started to, because we were having such great results, right? Naturally, when your testosterone increases, people think it's just, to get a bunch of mass and muscle in the gym, and they think physical performance. But I think the most underrated aspect of having optimized hormones, and specifically testosterone, even for women, is the cognitive benefit you get from it, the confidence you get. If you're in sales, if you're in business, confidence is everything. It is arguably more important than what you know. If you have confidence in something you don't know about, you are probably more successful than someone that might know a lot but isn't super confident about it. So testosterone, having optimized hormones, gives you that. So if you're in sales, naturally our performance now is doubling. We were doing well, now we were doing really good. Our sales team, naturally, they saw us doing this, so they followed suit. We had sent 20 people and referred them in. And now we have a team of killers that are all high performers. We're doing blitzes in different cities where we get big Airbnbs. It's like 15 guys. They're all like just wake up at 6 a.m, go hit the gym, come back, morning meeting, and you're going out into the field all day long, get home at 10 o'clock at night, and then do that 6 to 7 days a week. And you just don't get tired. So we just had that kind of energy. And then realizing this, we're looking back and saying, okay, like this is great. This is good money, but this is not scalable here. I don't want to do this forever. This is great in the interim now, but how can I find a way to scale and use this money that we're bringing in for something else? And me and Jacob were on a phone call. We were going to franchise with this company. They were doing the whole wine and dine thing. They flew us out to San Diego, the whole 9 yards, take us out to nice dinners, all that. And I remember driving back one day from a deal that I had just closed where me and Jacob just like, it clicked. We're like, hey, like, why don't we just do this ourselves? And I was like, yeah, sounds like a good idea. Like, kind of sitting here and like running through, because in your head,
when do you think that phone call was?
I don't remember the exact date. I don't know the exact date, but this was
January-ish, 24.
Yeah, it had to have been around the January-ish time. But
cool.
I remember, I just vividly remember driving back from having closed a deal, being on the highway in Austin, Texas, having that phone call with Jacob, where we were just like, we finally had that realization moment where it's like, we thought we had to franchise. We thought we couldn't do it ourselves. And we're like, why are we going to franchise with them? Why don't we just do it ourselves? We have all this cash we're sitting on. We have the know-with-all on how to do it. I mean, we just know that it's not terribly complicated. And we could do it better because they're going to restrict us on the medical treatments we can do. They're going to restrict us on a lot of things. And they just kept imposing more and more and more and more restrictions. It wasn't even the fees, the franchise fees. It was the restrictions and not having the ability to freely be able to do your own thing. So that's when the idea arose. And we just had thought of, clever names for it, and Overtime just kind of sparked into our minds. Yeah. And we said it, we wrote it down. We had like other names I have notes of. And Overtime was just the one that kind of resonated the most. And then we had this like slogan, like low T, OT, kind of like got milk, question mark. Yeah. And then like we were going through the names, and then it was like we were going over Overtime and thinking of a tagline for it. We were like low T, OT, low T, go OT. Yeah. Kind of like the got milk thing. So that's kind of when it clicked. We were like, all right, let's go all in on that. And then, naturally just the progression of it, something being a side hustle. And then eventually when the side hustle takes up most of your time now, you drop the main thing and you go on that.
That's a crazy story. So, quarter one, quarter two of 2024, two things that come to mind. If I'm like put myself in your shoes, like, all right, how do we launch by July? What were your thoughts behind the regulation channels that you had to go through, and then your product supply?
We ran into a lot of issues. As you can imagine, as a startup, and this isn't a simple startup. This isn't starting a clothing brand. No disrespect to any of those businesses because they're phenomenal. But
no regulation. Right?
Ours was just naturally more complex. We're dealing with medical. We're learning about HIPAA, attorneys, all that stuff. So it was a whirlwind. You do one thing, and then before you can get to the next step, you have to have this other thing done. But to get this thing done, you have to have this one thing done. So it's like this whole puzzle. Imagine a puzzle where everything's scattered all over the page, and you think you're finally making progress on it. It's like I guess Rubik's Cube is the best way to do it. Because you might think you're done, and then in order to do it, you have to like redo the whole thing. Yeah. That's exactly how setting up our business was, to put it in perspective. You'd make progress here, and then you'd have to eliminate all that progress and then redo it again a different way. But our first hire was our medical director, Dr. Earl McAllister. He's still with us now. He's our first OG hire. When we moved to Tampa, we hired him on the spot, and he
How'd you find him?
Huh?
How'd you find him?
LinkedIn. He lives on Davis Island. He was about to retire, and he didn't really need the income, right? But he just really believed in me and Jacob's vision. Remember, we brought him to Boulogne. We wined and dined him a little bit, and just from the first conversation, we were like, this guy's awesome. He understands it. He's willing to take a risk and gamble on us. Because as you can imagine, right now the process to hire is pretty easy because now we have that credibility. But starting off, there is no followers, there's no nothing, there is no location, there is no logo. It's just me and Jacob and like a Google Doc.
Did you have an ad out, or did you just?
We put an ad out.
Okay.
We put an ad out.
What was that ad like? What's the job description? What's the ad?
I mean, we made it sound like my mom is an attorney, so like I had her like she'd help me with some like free legal stuff here on the side. Nothing too complex or specific, but she would revise it all.
Yeah.
And like we put out something that looked professional. And then like when they looked up overtimemenshealth.com, I was like, page does not exist. So it's like you can imagine like people would apply to it, but like page did not exist. There's no logo, there's no location. It's two 23-year-old and a 25-year-old. It's like, okay. All right, like you brought me here. Thanks for the lunch, but like, come on, I'm gonna go back to TGH, Tampa General Hospital, where I work at. This is who we're dealing with. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of challenges that come with being so young. We knew what we were worth, so we never let it discourage us. That was one thing. We never got back, like we never put our heads down. We just like, all right, on to the next, because knocking doors gave us the grit. When someone slammed the door in your face and told you to F off, all right, on to the next.
Yeah.
So it's like you'd have a meeting with someone, and doctors, some of them tend to be very egotistical. So as you can imagine, a doctor, prestigious, he went to Yale University. He works at Tampa General. He's a surgeon. He's going to lunch with a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old with a business plan on a Google Doc with no physical location, no website, nothing. You can imagine how that went. Some people are very reluctant to. But Earl, shout out to Earl if you're watching this. He actually does watch our stuff a lot.
Cool.
He loves it. But he's been phenomenal. He's been with us from the very beginning. And then having him gave us some more credibility because now it's like it's not just me and Jacob. Now it's hold on, we have a doctor.
Yeah.
He lives on Davis Island. He's prestigious.
You got two
now we had someone that we could refer to. There's that one step forward, and then getting all the licenses you had to get with the Department of Professional Regulation with Florida, getting all the permits set up, dealing with attorneys. It was one thing at a time. It took a very long time, but we were selling solar at the same time. Less and less of it as time went on because you have more responsibilities, but we were just ticking off our boxes.
You were selling solar here?
In Tampa.
Okay.
Which was tough because it was a very saturated market.
Yeah.
But we were doing that on the side and then filling in the gaps of our schedule and day. Since then, I can't remember the last time me and Jacob just chilled.
Yeah. And then was product supply an issue, or was that easy?
Product supply was easy.
Okay.
All it took is, we just leveraging connections and people that we knew and making good relationships with the owners of the compounding pharmacies to get really good rates. And we went a different route as opposed to applying for like the deal with a pharmacy that you would normally go. We would just do our very best to talk to who was in charge and build a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing we've been very good at with all the relationships that we have naturally being in this business because we don't manufacture our own products. We will one day, but we don't right now. There's a lot of vendors and different suppliers you have to work with. You have to work with a lab that does your third-party testing, if you do that, your pharmacies you send patients, and then external stuff. You have obviously clothing and you've got supplies and all this stuff that goes into it, legal. So our strategy was never to just apply like everybody else. It was, what can I do to talk to the person that's in charge so I can build a relationship? Because on paper, we're at a disadvantage. And that's kind of been our superpower from the beginning. Because on paper we were disadvantaged, you got 2 college dropouts, 23, 25 years old. That's what it looks like on paper. The bank's not giving them a chance. Doctors weren't giving us a chance. No one was giving us a chance. So we had to get really good at how can I bypass all these gatekeepers and get to the person who's actually making the decisions so that I can have a chance to sell them on my vision, talk to them, build a relationship. I'm going to get what I want way further than going the route that makes us look not as great.
Before we dive into July and after, besides the regulation, was there any other big pain points from January to July of 24?
From January to July.
Pre-launch?
Yes. There was one really, really big pain point. So we had our launch party, our grand opening, where you cut the ribbon, finally got the location, got everything set up, interior designers, it looks beautiful. That was supposed to be on June 29th, 2 days after my birthday, my 23rd birthday. And we had everybody on staff fully hired. Everyone was good. We had a medical director. We had a nurse practitioner to actually prescribe medication. We had 2 medical assistants, and we had a receptionist, which is all that we needed to function and operate as a business. 5 days before the grand opening, June 29th. This is June 24th. Get a call from our main provider. So Dr. Earl McAllister, he's the medical director. He just oversees everything. You have to have a doctor, a medical doctor on paper to oversee everything. The actual main guy that was going to actually sit down, do the consultations, do the prescribing, be like that guy, 5 days before, he gets an offer where he couldn't refuse. He's getting paid. He got offered double what we could offer him. And we were offering, well into the six figures. So you can imagine it was a very, very competitive rate. So he naturally said, hey, I can't take this. I have to take this job. So 5 days before, we don't have a doctor. And we have to go back through the process that took us months. And we have this party coming up here where all of our family's coming down. All of our friends are showing up to it. We have like 100 people in attendance or going to be in attendance at this party. We don't have a doctor. So back against the wall once again. It was not smooth sailing. That was probably the biggest hurdle. But when your back's against the wall, you find a way to make it work. So right after, we had interviewed the guy, and we had brought him on temporarily. He was a temp hire, but he was able to get the job done as we needed.
What's interesting there is I'm a big believer in the fact that, I agree with you. One of the most successful traits of an entrepreneur is going to be execution and burning the ship. But it may be even more important is the ability to take risk and not think twice about it. Now, calculated risk. But what I heard there is a significant six-figure salary for one employee, and there's multiple employees. So before you even launch this ship, you got payroll and commitments that are significant.
Yeah.
And all you have to back it up is the badass work ethic that you did in solar and you bootstrapped. And so that's risk.
Yeah. Talk about risk.
What was payroll set up a month before you started? Give or take.
Payroll was from the rip, $25K a month. Right now it's up to.
So that's a bet. That's betting on yourself right there.
Yeah.
You're betting $25K a month on yourself.
$25K a month, and then all of the costs to operate the business added up to about $60K a month to operate our business, everything included.
What was the biggest ones besides payroll?
You got just mainly fixed cost. Because the thing about our business is once you get past the fixed cost, now you're really into the profit zone. Now you're really into whatever the margin of the cost of.
So it's just product.
Whatever your
rent,
cogs are, and then
salary.
profit margin after that. After you've paid your fixed cost, it's way better.
What are your fixed costs?
You've got things like rent. You've got legal
and product.
Yeah, and you've got your regulations and permits you got to have.
Yeah.
Your medical waste disposal. It costs the same whether you're disposing hundreds and hundreds of gallons versus if you're just doing 1 gallon.
Yeah.
So you get you get a good ROI when you have scale on that. But a lot of it was fixed cost. Payroll is our biggest one. And then, fulfillment.
Yeah, I think payroll is our biggest cost for sure. I mean, I think it's like, I don't think it's like $600K a month right now, and so it's hard in the business. I like your input here. Where like you don't want to scale too quick, where you have too much payroll for no reason. But then we found ourselves in times where it's like you have an emergency hire. Where it's like, oh shit, we got too much business.
You have to. You got to do what you got to do.
And so how are you managing that? How are you managing? Because same thing for you. I mean, you've been growing like crazy. How are you managing like not hiring too soon or not hiring too slow?
Well, I'll start off by saying we've made a lot of mistakes. Like I would not tell someone to copy exactly what we did. I would say if you're going to copy one thing, it's going to be like the thought process behind all the things we did, the mindset, right? The attitude of just like never giving up. I think that's what ultimately made us successful. But starting off in business, we had no idea what we were doing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like we did. We had a good idea. We watched a lot of Alex Hormozy online. Right? He literally taught us business. But at the end of the day, we didn't know what we were doing. So we've been put in a lot of positions where we've had to make hires very quickly, and they haven't all been great. However, one thing we haven't been afraid to do is let people go and cut the fat. And I think that's also very important. It's like if you see that someone is causing problems, like people will show you who they are. So we haven't been the greatest, at least right now we're way better with it. But starting off, we weren't the greatest at discerning personalities and knowing who was going to be the best fit for this role. But when people show you who they are, believe them. And that's one thing we've stuck by. So once we kind of got wind that this person was a certain way, we didn't think twice about it, we let them go. And because Jacob and I, we've never had a designated role within the company, meaning a lot of people that start this business, they will have a job title. A lot of them will be office managers, or the owners of most of these clinics are actually providers themselves, so they'll do that work. Whereas we didn't have a set title. So if the time came where we had to fill in for a receptionist or fill in for an office manager or fill in for any role that wasn't medical, we could do that. We had the freedom to do that. And there's 2 of us. So we weren't afraid to let people go and trim the fat because, as you know, those kinds of people in your business can be very cancerous. And they can spread a lot of negativity amongst the group and cause feelings of resentment. So if you get winded that someone is, you should let them go, believe them, let them go, trim the fat, find a way to fill it in the short term so that you're not having to make a decision based off of immediate need. Having a backup plan is always good. And then you can make the hire that you want to make.
At the beginning there, when you had significant money committed a month before you even launched, what made you so confident in the ability that this would work?
There is, on paper, nothing, but it was just my belief that if I put my mind to anything, I could do it. It's this belief that if my back is against the wall and I give this my 100%, I don't think there's anything that I can't do. If I really wanted to do it, I could. If I wanted to be an author, I could do that. If I wanted to be a best-selling podcaster, I could do that. And not that I have any sort of gift that's different than anybody else. If just the power of the mind is incredible. And if you genuinely believe you can do it, you will reframe every little action to align with hitting that goal, and you will get there.
So a video I saw this morning reminds me of you. It said God has a tendency. It was a wide receivers coach at the Ohio State talking to his receivers. I think it was receivers. It looked like receivers. Could have been DBs. God has a tendency to pick up a nobody, to be somebody in front of everybody without consulting anybody.
I love that.
Yeah, dude. It's like you're just a regular Joe from Miami, and
regular guy.
No trust fund, no nothing.
Nothing.
And doing something crazy.
I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and he was kind of telling me, like, you've always been the kind of person where it's like you've just been so delusionally optimistic about things, and it's gotten me hurt a lot of times, like physically hurt, bad. But like you've just been so delusionally optimistic about things, and your self-belief has been always so high, and we couldn't pinpoint exactly where it came from, but it's just been since I was a little kid. Like, I guess my dad likes to say that there is, like, I guess my amygdala didn't develop fully, where your body can process fear. Because I guess I don't process fear the same way that a lot of other people do, in the sense where it's like, yeah, let me take the calculated risk. Well, what if this goes wrong? It's like, no, let's just do it. Figure it out. And that can hurt you, but I think it can also propel you.
Yeah.
Just not having the fear. And I guess fear is what holds a lot of people back from having tough conversations. Fear holds the guy back from talking to the cute girl that he likes. Fear holds people back and puts them... What fear does is fear will have somebody work a job for 40 years and live a life they absolutely despise because they were scared to say something. Mm-hmm. And that's what fear can do. So it's like, knowing that, I'll take the danger. I'll take the risk. But it's like, I would rather live a life free of fear and just doing what I know is what I want to do with my life, and look back, even if it's a shorter life than what I would have had if maybe I didn't take that risk, I look back and know it was a good life.
Love that.
Or I did what I wanted to do.
Hell yeah.
We get one, so.
So you launch in July 2024. You have the issues before launch. Post-launch, what went wrong? Let's talk about what went wrong, then we'll talk about what went right. What's up, you guys? I wanted to introduce to you our done-for-you Airbnb investing service called B&B Turnkey that has massive tax implications. It's basically an investing service that allows you to invest in cash-flowing Airbnbs and not do any of the work. It's best explained in 3 phases. Number 1, we find, analyze, and underwrite the property. In phase 2, we handle all the interior design and construction. And then phase 3, we manage the property on the back end. The best part is most of our clients qualify for the short terminal loophole of the IRS tax code. This allows for average clients to write off over $200,000 in depreciation on their tax bill. For more information, click the link in the description to connect with our team. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the episode.
So, when we started in the business, we were involved pretty heavily in the day-to-day operations, and then things started to pick up. Our revenue was doubling month on month on month. Things were looking well. So me and Jacob made the mistake of having listened too much to the business gurus online, where it's like, never work in your business, work on your business. So we said, okay. So we stopped going in as frequent, and we started working on higher level stuff. This is when it did a couple good things, because it really helped take off the social media. We made a lot of connections with influencers and big players. It had gotten us, a deal with, I shouldn't say deal, but had gotten us connected with Dan Becerra.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I can't speak too much on what's going on there, but we have some cool stuff cooking.
Sick.
But it had gotten us all these things. However, things on the home front weren't so well. We weren't as involved in the day-to-day problems that were occurring and how to solve them and how to create SOPs so that they don't keep happening over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
We were relying on people that we hired and brought on to fix these problems for us. And then these problems in this industry tend to have a snowball effect, whereas it might not cause you detriment today on Monday, but 2, 4, 5, 6 weeks from now, it'll cause a major, major fire that you have to put out. So we had pulled ourselves away from it. It helped us, at least looking back on it now. But in the meantime, a lot of problems are happening on the home front. So that caused us to have to step back in and start from scratch. And then we had a really major issue where we lost our payment processor. Our payment processor
Stripe?
up and just dropped us.
Was it Stripe?
It wasn't Stripe. It was a payment processor that processed other companies doing way more revenue than us.
What was our reasoning to drop you?
There was, I guess, some discrepancies. Our office manager had a nasty conversation with one of their higher-ups, and I guess it pissed them off to the point where they didn't really need our business. It was more of a relationship that me and Jacob had fostered, and that it was ruined like that. So that taught us your reputation, guard it with everything, because you can spend all this time building up a positive reputation and get people to love you, and you can ruin it in an instant like that. Now, off of someone that I didn't even know this conversation was being had. But we're affiliated with them. So now that relationship and that bridge is burned. So it taught us to really guard your reputation with everything. So like everything that's happened has taught us very valuable lessons, and we haven't made the same mistake twice. But us having pulled away from the business to try to work on it, not in it, caused problems because we weren't ready to do that.
Yeah.
As a business owner, when you first start off, you got to kind of wear all the hats. And we just wanted to wear the hat that was kind of fun to wear.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say fun, but the one that we thought we had the most leverage in. Not that we were above doing some of the simple day-to-day work, but we were all about leverage. Where can I get the most leverage for my time? And we realized very quickly that we had to step back in and wear those hats and do that job. And now what we've been doing for the past 5 months has been leading up to the point where we actually can make that step away from the day-to-day moment to really scale and compound.
And it's hard to know like when it's done. I remember like people see, I'm sure our employees see, like, you know, my life's a little different now than it was. We started November of 22. From November 22 to now is different. Even up until March of 24, I was our only sales rep. You know, now we have, 12 or 13 sales reps, and I was the only one taking sales calls, taking, on the hour, every hour for 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And so that's what you got to do. Yeah. And at scale, as you all know now, and if others are listening, there's a difference between A players and A+ players, and a vast difference. And now hiring people, yes, it's important to have a company that can run without you, but it's more important to have a company that can also grow without you. So like our family, my wife and 5-year-old and 3-year-old, for the first time ever, we spent all July in our mountain cabin in North Carolina, and I wasn't scared at all. Yeah. I knew that we have the right people in the right seats, and absolute leaders and dogs in the house that can perform. That's the goal that you want to get to. What people? Ultimately, the reason you start a business is for free. Right. And I think a lot of business owners, they trap themselves and just they want to escape the rat race 9 to 5, and they end up giving themselves a job where now they work double where they were working before and can never escape. Yeah. But I think you got to have the mindset of how can I build something that, number one, is valuable to somebody else, not just myself, and where I'm not an absolute key player. Yeah. You are a key player, but the business could be successful without you. Yeah. You want to have that mindset. I think it's important too to like I preach to them all the time. Like, I don't want them, unless it's like they just absolutely want to. I don't want them working here forever. Yeah. I want them to take the risk. I want them to start their own business. I want them to, we had our company event in June. I was like, every single one of y'all need to be doing content, in my opinion. Yeah. And because I've seen how much, and you get it way more than I do, but I've seen it on my business partner side, on what it's done for him, and then what it's done for you. In your company, it's insane. Yeah. Which is a good lead up into, all right, that's kind of what went wrong before launch, what went wrong after launch, but obviously a lot of things went right too. So what went right? Well, we did a really good job of positioning ourselves as the A player in the city. Because we had that self-belief, anytime we'd step on camera, anytime we'd have interactions and talk to people, it was like, it left people with a certain feeling, and that feeling was always positive, which led us to our creation of one of our first core values, which is outperform the algorithm. That's a core value of our company. All that means is there's a certain algorithm, and that could be social media, it could be anything. How did someone hear about Overtime? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be because they thought we were funny online.
Our job is to, when someone comes in the clinic, when they leave, their thought process is not they're the funny guys. That their process is, well, these guys are the best clinic. I got the best treatment here. I got the best service. I feel better than I ever have before. So it's always to outperform the algorithm. But one thing we did do well is making sure that we got the eyeballs, the right eyeballs. And then being able to get on stage and speak about certain different topics, because naturally as we kept speaking on camera, we got good at speaking. So knowing how to resonate with our core audience, being involved with some of our big player customers, and then networking in the city to bring in other big players, we did that well. We've never had a shortage of people coming in the clinic. It was making sure that those that did come in got a great service, which is an ever-evolving process that will always keep bettering. There's never a got it moment or a got there moment. It's always a continual strive for improvement on a day-to-day basis. But marketing has always been our strong suit, getting the word out there, and then our reputation has been good. So much so to the point that the girls that work at our clinic, they now get recognized out in public.
That's funny.
Just because they work at overtime from people they have no idea about. A couple of them have even asked to like be in pictures with them, which I think is just very funny.
Yeah.
But they're getting recognized in public, and it's all for good reasons. Like they have a good reputation in the city because of overtime. So one thing I've told all the girls that work with us is the importance of reputation and to guard it with your life, because it's so hard, especially for young girls, right? I mean, that is everything to them.
Yep.
And it's a core value that we preach and tell them, hey, listen, this is something that's going to help the business, obviously. More importantly, I want it to really resonate with you as a person. And same thing with you, where you want your employees and you want your people to strive and do better things.
Yeah.
So anything that works with us, we want them to use this as a personal development plan with a compensation plan attached to it. So our second core value was formed, which is to wear the badge. Always wear the badge. So you always want to pretend and have the idea that you have an overtime shirt on. You never know who might be watching. Now that there is eyeballs on us, you're going to be under more scrutiny. So now that there is eyeballs, I mean, it's carrying yourself with a different kind of energy. And they love it because now they walk around with a certain pride element to it. They're wearing our company logo with pride now because working here means something to them. Not just me and Jacob that are on the camera all the time. It's them as well. So those things we've done very, very well. And we plan on continuing to.
So that gets them in the door. Then you obviously have to have a product and a fulfillment that keeps them in the door.
Correct.
So obviously that's going well. What kind of case studies do you have, or like stories do you have to share of like anything crazy of success for these certain clients?
Well, I'll tell you, out of everything, all the attention from this, the most gratifying feeling to date has been getting the random stranger to tap your shoulder saying, hey, I'm a client at your company. I'm a client at Overtime. You guys have changed my life for the better. That is the most gratifying feeling. So number one, we saw the need, which is the need was male testosterone and male hormones, and masculinity as a whole is under attack. We have an ad right now out. It's called "Your Balls Are Under Attack." It's the most plain, simple way to say it. It's true, and it's backed up by numbers and by data. We've tested thousands of guys, and it's the guys in their 20s and 30s that have the consistent low hormones. And these aren't guys that have done steroid cycles or done SARMs or anything like that. These are just normal guys that look like the same guys you see every single day. So we saw that need. So to combat that need, we know that guys they want a fast service. They don't want to wait 1, 2 days, 2 weeks. They're very impatient. Guys want it now, myself included. So what we did was we found a way to get a certification to be able to test for hormones in clinic and get results same day. So now you don't come to our clinic, get your blood drawn, and have to wait for your results. You get them that same exact day. And you can sit down with a provider while the iron is hot, while the juices are flowing, while the emotions are high. So that's how we are able to get all the data on the testing portion of it. As far as the medical treatments go, it's understanding that, look, we want to have multiple different options, but as opposed to shoving a menu in someone's face and saying, hey, pick what you want, they have no idea what they want. We'd show nobody a menu. We have a menu created, we never use it. Our menu is our provider taking the time to actually listen to the patient's goals. What is your medical history? And then besides medical history, what are your habits? Because most people go to their primary care doctor and it's like, okay, what is your, they'll ask them what their family history of disease is, what kind of medications they take, what their blood pressure is, and like that's it. So it's so cut and dry, cookie cutter. I've never had a primary care doctor ask me what my diet was, what my lifestyle was, how many hours of sleep I'm getting per night, how much water I'm drinking per day, am I taking the right supplements, magnesium, vitamin D3, all these supplements. No one ever asks that. So we take the time to actually ask patients that. We actually recommend a lot of supplements to our patients that we don't even sell just because we want what's best for them. But plain and simple, our process is not a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach. It's sit down with the patient. What brought you in today? Something brought you in today. And it's getting them to open up about the stuff that's real. A lot of guys in their 20s, they have erectile dysfunction. They'll never admit that to you. I work just fine is what you hear all the time. Like, oh, I don't need that. I'm good. And that's fine. They have that outward approach, but you have to have a provider that can get the real stuff out of these guys. So having a provider that not only knows a lot about medicine, but also knows how to get the right information out is everything. Because if that patient's not being honest with you, you can't give them an actual good treatment. So we've taught our providers how to get information out of people to get down to the root of the issue. So what brought you in today? Get that out. And also, what are your actual habits? And listen, I'm not like your primary care doctor. You can tell me if you smoke weed. You can tell me if you do XYZ drugs on the weekend. You can tell me if you drink alcohol more than 3 times a week. I'm not going to judge you for it, but tell me so we can get down to the root of it. So the guys, when they come in, they feel so comfortable talking to our doctors, and we are able to come up with actual plans to get their health optimized, not just in the treatments that we sell, but because they know we care. People don't care about how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And because when they come to us and they get that level of service and care every single time, that does all the difference. Because now that person that actually listens to my doctor is now maybe going to limit his drinking from 3 nights a week to 1 night a week. Because now he understands that alcohol can have very negative implications, especially in the long term for his or her health. Mainly guys, because we're men's health. But we do have a lot of women that come in now too. So really, our secret sauce is our ability to get the right information out of our clients. Our treatments, you could find them elsewhere. Although I will say we do source our stuff from the best. And I know a lot of places that go very cheap on this to get better margins. So we do source from the best. And we have a lot of different treatment modalities because we have deals with a lot of different vendors and providers. We don't just rely on one. Because we want the ability to, when the patient tells me they have this problem, I want to be able to solve it, not just with a pharmaceutical pill, with something a little bit more natural. I mean, peptides, all they are chains of branched chain amino acids. They just work really well in the body because when they're injected as opposed to taken orally, they're 17 to 20 times more bioavailable, right? So it's our secret sauce is truly the fact that we do care.
And then how long is the average service? 6 months, 1 year, or sign up period, or
our goal is for life.
Okay, but is it month to month? Is it Are you selling 1 year programs? Or are you?
Yeah, we give patients deals on signing up for 1 year, just because naturally we get a discount from buying that product in a bigger quantity from the pharmacy. So we transfer that to the patient. So we'll do 1 year, 6 month, 3 month, and then 1 month. Our most common right now has been the 6 month.
So okay, let's talk about the 6 month. Obviously, at that point you then want a high renewal rate. What's the renewal rate on the 6 months?
Phenomenal, because when someone commits to 6 months, they're in it. If someone comes in and says, I'm just going to try it month to month, the chances of them renewing can be quite low, and it seems counterintuitive. But if someone signs up for 6 months from the rip, they know they've made a big commitment financially, and now they've got all this stuff. They might as well get the most out of it. And then they see the results, and they re-sign up. The longer people commit for, the more serious they take it. Yeah. The more serious, and by it, I mean I'm talking about their health. Yeah. So it's like them signing up for a longer package. Yes, we bring in more revenue as a business, but because the client takes it more seriously, he's now getting a drastically different result. Because that's the guy that's coming up to me in the gym. That's the guy that's sending us the DMs, a message. And now we're getting hundreds of them now, of people that have come in now, and it's changed their life.
And what would you say after a 6 month period, what percentage are signing up for another 6 months or another year?
I would say that the data is hard to know because we just started doing the 6 month packages less than 6 months ago. Yeah. So we haven't gotten there yet, but I'm hoping to see that they're high just because those.
I have a reason to ask that question. So one of my buddies that was on the podcast, he owns his name's Matt DeBlasi. He owns Abide, HIPAA compliant software, where they work, which probably you know a little bit of. But it's essentially the way he sells it, explains it, it's the TurboTax HIPAA compliance. Works with dentists and doctors, and they runs them through a little software to make sure they are HIPAA compliant. And he talked about kind of when he knew that they had a successful product came on the 6 month. It was a 6 month product, and then renewals came up, and he was like, all right, this will be whether or not we're going to have a company or not. Yeah. And it was like 97% renewal rate. Wow. So he was like, all right, we're in.
That is incredible.
So it brings me to my next question. July 24, you launch. At what point did you know, was your aha moment of like, all right, we got something here. This is going to work?
We knew that 6 months prior to starting the business. There was no one defining moment where we knew it was going to renew before we started it was going to work. And we knew that because we used the treatments ourselves.
Yeah.
So we just saw no other option. Like, this is not going to, there's
no
way.
But when was it confirmed?
January of this year, it was confirmed because we finally broke even.
Yeah.
And that was finally when we saw it on paper, like, this is something now. Now we're not losing money.
Are you still selling solar?
No.
Okay, when did you stop that?
2 months prior to starting.
Okay.
So I think it was April. I sold my last deal.
Okay.
April, May, June. Yeah, April.
So you were all in.
All in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next? All right, you're 12, 13 months into this.
Yeah.
How do you scale? Where do you scale?
Great question. So currently right now, Jacob and I, for the next 2 to 3 months, I would say actually the next 2 months, we brought on a whole new set of staff. Not a whole new set of staff, but a couple of the key players that we really needed the A plus as opposed to the A player.
Yeah.
We've brought them in now. We're very confident in them. Me and Jacob's job is to really do the vision building with them and then give them and have them understand exactly how we want the clinic to be run on a minutia and on a micro and a macro level. Work with them directly, train them, coach them to be able to step away from the business and have it still grow without our physical presence needing to be there every single day. Once we free up that time, at the same time right now, we just went live in all 50 states about a month and a half ago. We haven't put a single dollar in ad spend into
The telehealth?
Yeah, telehealth.
You're not doing any social ad? No paid ad?
Nothing. To this, I still have no idea how people are finding it because we haven't put any money into it because it's not been our primary focus, but it's live. We have 40 active patients on that platform. We're doing like $25,000 a month in revenue there, and we have no idea how they're coming besides the couple of people that we've told. But people are finding that site, so we're launching an affiliate program where our plan to scale is not on spending a ton of money in advertising like Hims and Hers does. They're spending about $300 to $400 million a quarter, whereas they're getting, I think, a 50% return on that.
300 to 400
million a quarter.
Damn.
Yeah, Hims and Hers. They're spending a ton of money. But
I've seen their ads.
our plan is to do it in a more organic sense and actually creating a household name and an actual brand that people can get behind and resonate with, as opposed to just a company I buy my stuff from, a company that people feel an attachment to, a logo that people feel proud to wear, a logo that means something, similar to what Nike did. That's our job. That's our goal. So wearing the logo signifies time is your most valuable asset and to use it wisely, right? We want to give people their time back. That's why we call it overtime. But our job and our goal, as soon as we accomplish that in clinic, is to go balls to the wall on telemedicine, bring out a massive affiliate team of people that are also just like Jacob and myself, resonate with us. And we're not looking for like the big influencers with millions of followers. I want the guys that have 10 to 50K, right? Maybe even less. There is no minimum on it. But I'm not looking for like the huge big time influencer. I'm looking to build an army of people that are just die hard with overtime all over the country that can be brand spokespeople for it, and then compensate them accordingly for that. And that's how we'll scale. And we'll also mix in some ad revenue and ad dollars into it, just because we have to split test both. Naturally, it's what you do in business, but we think that the affiliate strategy is going to be the home run here.
Incredible story, man. Are you doing anything outside of overtime, business-wise?
Business-wise?
Yeah.
I've gotten involved now with a couple different organizations. Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk, he had me come out. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing some stuff with them, and they've had me on a couple different shows. They want to get me involved somehow in business. I'm not sure exactly what my time commitment will be on something like that, but it's out in the open. And then just giving back to the community. I know we had just recently moved into a big compound, and the reason why we moved into that compound was to be able to have events, big-scale events. We really wanted to raise a bunch of money for the kids in Tampa. We wanted it to be local to be able to see the impact, and we were going to raise a bunch of money for them to go like back to school, get like back to school stuff. But things had happened, complications happened with the place that we were living at, and we're actually having to move out because the HOA is just not allowing for us to do much of the stuff we wanted to do.
HOA is damn, dude.
So we're looking. We have a few different other properties now on the horizon. As soon as we move into one that's suitable for it, we want to have more of those events. Yeah. And that'll be separate from the business, affiliated but separate, not for profit. So right now it's just all overtime as far as business goes, though. Yeah.
That's sick, man. Well, incredible story. Gets me fired up just hearing the other stories out there of entrepreneurs and from nothing to something. And not to say we're nothing, but definitely not what you are now.
No.
And so it's bootstrapped and absolute grit.
An insane amount of self-belief and not having a plan B.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, burn the ships, dude.
Burn the ships.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to another episode of Successful DNA. Julian, where can they find more about you?
You can find us on Instagram and all social platforms at OT Men's Health. And then my personal pages are my name, Julian Becerra, with 2 U's.
Thanks for coming, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.